all. Welcome to Wednesday Night Lives, and it is 7 p.m. Central Time. This is the time I will typically go live every week, and super excited to be live tonight. So welcome. Get people coming in, saying hi, where you from, all those amazing things. So welcome. Tonight, I want to talk about setting intentions during this time of upheaval and chaos and all these changes and all these things breaking down and all the massive headlines. It's a lot right now, and it's kind of affecting people in very different ways. So I want to really kind of walk you through some different ways to kind of set intentions to kind of help through this period that we're getting into a little bit more chaos, a little bit more unsettledness, if you will. So I'll just wait just another moment or two to have people join. And then we'll get going. I also want to do a card pull today. We're going to use the Wisdom of Trees Oracle deck. I think that nature has a lot of answers for us if we choose to align with her. All right. So let's talk about, we're going to do these later as I was starting to shuffle, but we're going to actually do these later. So let's talk about headlines and intentions. So there's and again, I have people on my channel who have various viewpoints. So if you are in the comments, please be respectful. Abby would like to say hi. Yes, hi. She usually likes to pop in during the lives and say hi. But the headlines right now are a lot. No matter kind of where you fall on the political spectrum, on the conservative versus liberal, all of the headlines are a lot right now. And so one of the things that you can do, because it's also at this time that you kind of want to stay informed in what's going on and not be completely overwhelmed with what's going on in the US, in the world. There's so much going on. So one of the things that you can do is, before you actually start looking at the headlines, set your intention that, what if I look at these headlines as the change agents that are starting to come? What if I look at these headlines as something that is just going to give me a little bit of what's going on, and I don't have to personally absorb all of the emotion with the headlines? The other thing that you can do, hello and welcome. The other thing that you can do is you can set what you want your intention to be as far as how you feel about all of these headlines that are coming out. Maybe you set an intention that even though these headlines are, really awful and, invoking fear and anger, you're going to try to, you can say, what if I view these headlines dispassionately or detached, and I can just kind of see them as the, like the little bit bigger viewpoint of things breaking down. That's going to help you as you kind of see all of the stuff that's coming from headlines, from traditional media, from YouTube media, from anything possible that you're getting your news from. And remember that headlines are truly meant to invoke emotion for you, usually anger, fear, frustration. So if you can choose, and it's always your choice how you react to headlines, but if you can choose to say, I'm going to just view these in a detached manner, knowing that this is part of everything kind of breaking down, you're going to get through this time a little easier. Now, that said, and hello, welcome everyone. We are talking about doing intentions in times of upheaval, kind of to help you kind of regulate your nervous system a little bit, to help you not have quite so much reaction or triggers, because it's a really intense time right now and everything is kind of almost triggering you. So it could also be your job that is triggering you. So you can also say, you know, I'm going to get through this day with as much confidence as I can, or as much grace as I can. And hello, welcome. Where are you guys all from? And so if you're in meetings, you can say, you know, I want this meeting to be really respectful for everyone involved. Awesome. From Turkey. Excellent. Love International. It's always fun to see who's coming. What time is it in Turkey? Because it is about 7:00 p.m. here. So I always like to kind of see time differences. The other thing is if your job is really, really stressful, you can, you know, pick that thing that you're going to say for the day. Like, what if I get through the day, or what if I get through an hour and actually feel productive? So, ooh, early in the morning. Wow. I am super impressed. Oh, that is a cool comment. Just passing by, but just hope you are having an amazing evening. Thank you for being here and existing. That is a cool comment. Very, very cool. And that's part of the setting your intentions of, like, that did not take that long to say, and who knows who will actually see that comment or read it or hear it that I said it. That kind of helps make your day just that little much better. And even if that's, you know, kind of like a work situation where you're like, I'm going to find that moment today where I smile or where I feel good, even if it is just that little tiny bit. Oh, thank you. And if anyone hasn't told you, I am proud of you. That is awesome. And I am proud of you too. You are showing up. You're showing up for yourself. And that's really important, is to show up for yourself no matter what is going on. We tend to put everybody else first, and then we do ourselves last. And one of the things about doing more intentional living is actually showing ourselves love too, and then bringing out and showing love to others as well. So we've kind of talked about what's kind of going on in the world. The other thing you can do is, like, if you're really kind of upset with some of the stuff that's happening, and there's a lot to be kind of upset about and unhappy about, you can kind of set the intention of, it's, you know, whatever is happening is for our highest and best good overall. Because sometimes things have to break down to actually create something new. And that's where we are, and that can be a really hard place to be. So even if that's your intention, I rarely ever do anything for myself. It's crazy how backward the world can be. The moment I do something more for myself, all of a sudden people have problems with it. And I am learning, and it's okay to take time for yourself. Yes, 100%. And we have been trained as a culture, and pretty much worldwide culture, to do things for others. And if as soon as we start doing things for ourselves, it's selfish. Or people are like, well, wait, are you okay? Because you're doing something different. And a lot of times we can kind of fall back into our old patterns because we're like, oh, we don't want to upset this person or upset the family dynamics or upset work dynamics. So and I'm kind of going through this kind of with my own family too, as I'm pushing back on what has been happening. And that has created a lot of tension and a lot of change in family dynamics for me. And it's, taking those small steps, taking those small moments of, maybe not answering a text right away. Maybe, letting that call go to voicemail from your family to kind of set that little bit of a boundary. Exactly. I haven't even measured for 5 minutes and you're already understanding it. 100%. And it's saying that we're worthy and we're enough and we can trust ourselves. That's another thing that kind of overall people are kind of trained out of trusting themselves and saying, oh, well, it really wasn't that bad, or it's only a few more moments and I'm already not doing my stuff anyways, so I'll just kind of do this because then this person will be happy. And it's giving ourselves the grace to say, oh, okay, well, wait, this really doesn't need to be done right now. I can actually do this one thing that I really wanted to get done today and then go back to this. But it's hard because we live in a world that doesn't necessarily value the time that we spend for ourselves. And taking those just really small moments is going to help build momentum into actually, having a whole day that, you're putting yourself first. But if you do it in small increments, it helps to start kind of build your confidence, build your foundation of it. That's something I haven't told myself much. Too stubborn, too much of a perfectionist, and too much disappointment verbally in my life for it. But I want to get better at having that mentality. So here's a thing to think about with the stubbornness and the disappointment especially. Is it actually yours? Or did something or someone or society kind of put that thought in your head? Have you been told that you're just too stubborn? Have you been told that, you're a disappointment? And if you have, is it really yours? Or did someone put that on you to keep you smaller, keep you from actually aligning with who you are? And there is something to be said about overthinking. We, not told, but definitely showed. And in some ways, that's a little bit more insidious almost to say, oh, we're not going to verbally tell you you're too stubborn, but we're just going to show you, we're going to point it out in kind of underhanded, sneaky ways. And so one of the things that I do, and I do even for myself, because there's stuff that I'm still, kind of battling like worthiness on different spots in my life, is I will say, what if I believe I am worthy in like this area of my life? What if I feel I am worthy in this area of my life? What if I know I'm worthy in this area of my life? And I keep running that. I'll write it down and then I'll kind of keep rereading it daily or rewriting it, depending on how much time I have. And what I have found is because we're taking something that normally will spiral us negative with the what if statements, we're instead asking ourselves to spiral upward. Because what if I believe in myself or in my self-worthiness in this area of my life? And the stubbornness is just me wanting to be the best I can be without failing. But now that I'm thinking about it, it's me wanting to be the best I can be for someone knowing that it'll never happen. But that's why I'm learning to do things, do it for me and me alone and not anyone else. And that's huge. There is a lot of pressure to be perfect, to be, that perfectionist. So we don't show that we don't know how to do things. And again, like people sometimes just don't even have the patience to train. Like I'm learning how to use a pallet jack, and I'm kind of bad at it right now. And it's, to move like pallets around. And I've just kind of laughed it off, and I can tell like who's willing to kind of train me and who's like, okay, just let me do it because I need to get this pallet moved. And so it's kind of that, even though it's kind of a silly thing, it really kind of shows how much I've actually changed, how much I've grown, because there would have been definitely a time that I was like, I have to get this right on the first go. I have to know exactly how to move it. And now I just kind of like, yeah, I'll laugh it off. So the more you can kind of play with that of yourself saying, what if it's okay that I'm not perfect in this? What if it's something that I'm learning? What if it's something that, I'm choosing to learn or choosing to let go of my perfectionism? Because a lot of times we get pressure from other people to be perfect, to have it right when we're doing things, even if it's something we know how to do. In some ways, that's even almost worse, because then we're like, well, we should have known that. We should have known how to do that. Well, maybe there's another piece or a component that we're just learning. Maybe we're having an off day. Okay, so let's see here. That's why I'm learning to do things for me and me alone. Yep. It's one of those things, I want to accept my imperfections, but people in my life make it seem bad thing. Society makes me feel like it's a bad thing. 100%. We've been trained to look for external validation instead of internal validation. And there is always going to be somebody externally that says you've done it wrong, that it's not the way they wanted it, that you did it too slow, you did it too fast. But what do you feel about it inside you? Now, I am a Virgo rising, so I really can get into that perfectionism piece. I've learned over the years to kind of tamper that down and to be like, it's gonna get done. It's not gonna be perfect, and that's okay. And yes, it's experience instead of failure. And here's the other thing is, we're here to learn things, to change the way we do things, to grow personally, to grow spiritually. Okay, so yep, so you're probably a Sun Virgo then. And so here's the cool thing about Virgo. Virgo can have that perfectionism that we were talking about, but Virgo is also a healer. And it's not the piece that gets talked about a lot. But where are you choosing to heal yourself, to allow yourself to have some nourishment, to feel nurtured by yourself instead of looking at the perfectionist piece. So that also kind of helps. It is a thing. And I will say, August 23rd, what's my zodiac? Oh, so yeah, that would be Virgo. Most likely Virgo. Yep. Because Virgo runs end of August into September, and then we move into Libra. But the thing is with Virgo, well, or with any of the signs really, and this is where I kind of find history fascinating. When the printed press came out, they needed a way to keep people interested in the paper every day. And so they actually started to do the horoscopes for just the sun signs, which would be kind of when your birthday is. That's kind of the one that you kind of know. So that's like where we're talking about being the Virgo. But historically in astrology, it's your sun sign. It is your rising sign, kind of where the sun was like on the horizon. And then it's also where the moon was. And it's actually all three of those that make up your complete personality. And one of the astrologers that I listen to, Bonnie Gillespie, she has a great metaphor for this, and it's really helped me kind of figure out how I do things. So okay, yep. So you would have to look, there's Astro will give you a free birth chart so that you can kind of see where, and it's going to either say rising or ascendant. So then you're going to know what house it is, and then where your moon is. It will also tell you that. I will say I like to use whole house systems because it's a little easier as you're starting to learn astrology. Yeah, so, and this is Western astrology as well. And so what it is with, it kind of depends where they kind of, again, they group people into saying, oh, you're on the cusp of, this Leo or Virgo, when in reality, when you actually look at your chart, you are one or the other. But looking at your sun, moon, and rising, we've got your driver, the personality that people see you the first time. That's actually your rising sign. Your sun sign that everybody kind of knows and everything is actually like the navigator of your car. Like if you think of it as like a car metaphor. And then the backseat driver is your moon sign. And so, yes. Wait, I'll check that one out. And rising too. Yep. And so really it's like your life car. You go through your entire life with those three signs, astrology signs, guiding you. And so depending on who's in the front, that could be your more kind of dominant personality, especially, if like a Virgo is going to be a little bit more, it showing up versus like kind of a Venus moon in the background going, hey, what about me? And so the more you can kind of see those three pieces, it kind of gives you a more complete picture of your personality. And remember, everybody has all of the signs in their birth chart, and there's always a lower vibration and a higher vibration of each sign. So similar to kind of what I was just saying with the Virgo is kind of the lower vibration of Virgo is that perfectionism, is making sure it's right. Making, sometimes making those lists can fall into that like lower vibration. I am a huge list girl. I will totally admit that. I love to make to-do lists. And then you've got like the higher vibration of that healer, of making sure that, you know, we're healing ourselves and then extending that to other people. I need to figure this info out too, because I don't know the rising and moon. Yeah, so you will need, so like, I'm gonna butcher your screen name. I'm sorry, Bunga. Like she had her entire birth date. That's what you're gonna need for Astro to figure out your rising and your moon signs. I would definitely do Astro. Their site is awesome. They have a ton of information. And then Placidus is one of the most common houses. But whole sign actually was, it's been longer in history than Placidus. Placidus came in with a lot of the royalty that they wanted to be separate from the commoners. They didn't want a same chart as the commoners. So that's actually what kind of started the split of the two. But the way I learned astrology, and I'm not an astrologer, but the way I learned it, I learned whole sign first, and it just breaks the houses up a little clearer for you. Yes, it does depend on the city you were born in as well. Yes, because it's going to give you that's kind of what depicts your rising sign. So it says Virgo. So yes, Mercury rules Virgo. Mercury is all about communication. And again, when we look at that as a lower vibration, Mercury can be very self-critical. When we're looking at it at the higher vibration, we are saying, what if I'm worthy today? What if I have confidence in this going into this meeting today? That's where really kind of setting intentions and starting to kind of shift our negative self-talk really kind of can come into play. And then with Scorpio rising, so Scorpio is ruled by Mars. It's a planet he's depicted as war, but he also wants everyone to have enough for the harvest. So that's kind of his like lower vibration and higher vibration. And Scorpio wants to dig deep. Scorpio wants the truth in the higher vibration. Scorpio in the lower vibration can be a little bit more manipulative, a little bit more holding on to information. You want the information, but it's going to be held instead of freely shared. So that's kind of a little bit of a difference there. When I figure this all out, I will definitely tell you. All I can say, I was born on September 6, 2000. Yep. Yeah, so, and it's going to take some time to kind of read your charts. That's why I really do like Astro. They do a pretty good job of kind of breaking kind of the bigger stuff down for you. And that's kind of the fun thing with astrology. You can keep it at like as high a level as possible, or like go way, way deep with it. It's kind of up to you. And the other thing that I really like with kind of the more, so I like whole sign, which is super old, but one of the newer things that they're doing with astrology is like evolutionary astrology. And that's saying, how are we integrating it in our lives instead of saying, oh my gosh, this is what's in your chart, so you're going to have a really hard life. I don't particularly buy into that belief. Based on what I've just talked to you about, I can kind of guess that I look at things a little bit more positive and a little bit more fluid than it has to be this way. And I will also say that is another Virgo thing, that Virgo and Capricorn, and I'm a Capricorn moon, like things very structured. Awesome. Thank you very much for subscribing to my channel. I am trying to build my YouTube channel. I love going live on Wednesdays. I love having this kind of like free range topic. And we got the pup barking. Okay, so anyway, I'm usually negative just about myself and overthinking. And again, that is one of the things that we've been trained to do. We've been trained to rethink all the conversations we've had, to second guess ourselves. And we've done that for a long time in history, because when you're taught to second guess yourself, you're less likely to question authority. And that's one of the things that is kind of bubbling up worldwide right now, is people are starting to go, well, wait a minute, this doesn't kind of make sense. But because we've been trained so long to question ourselves and not what is actually going on, it's kind of a mind shift that we have to make to say, well, wait a minute, what if we trust ourselves? What if we trust the information that we feel is correct? Okay. And then I don't like being negative, but in my life, it's like no matter how hard I try, I will never be good enough or enough at all. And was that placed on you by somebody or multiple people? Before I put my head to the pillow as a pharmacist, I even started asking myself if I suggested any correct drug, even if I was sure of it. Yeah, so all of that, again, we're trained to doubt ourselves. So one of the things you know that you can do as an intention is, what if I'm enough today? What if I'm enough this hour? Or what if I'm confident in my decisions today as a pharmacist? And start playing that over, in the morning, every morning before you go to work. What if I'm confident that I know I am prescribing the right drugs today? And by putting the what if in front of that statement, you're allowing your mind to think about it in a different way. Because based on that statement, you probably, if you say, I am confident that I am giving everybody the right medication today, that self-doubt is going to creep in. And you're like, well, no, I don't believe that. I think I am, but I don't believe it, or I don't feel like I am. But if you put in that, what if I am confident giving everybody the correct medication today, it changes the way you think about that statement. And family members can do a whole heck of a lot of damage. They really can. And think about what is making them say something about you not being enough or showing you you're not enough. Typically, it is an insecurity or a fear on their behalf that they have placed on you. And like I mentioned before, I'm kind of going through that with my parents of kind of relearning and relooking things out, going, oh, wait a minute, this was placed on me, so I stayed small. So I stayed within the family unit that they had created. Yeah. Yeah, no one sued me yet, so it looks like it's okay. Yeah, and kind of having some fun with it and, bringing some, playfulness in. I don't think I would necessarily put that as your intention that no one sued you, but it's fun to kind of have those moments of laughter and seeing it in a different way. And, it is about, and that's kind of the what if statements too. You can kind of play with those a little bit more too. So you can kind of have that like fun. So one of the ones that I did, so I work, so I do obviously this work, and then I also have started to work at a garden center, which I really, really enjoy. But I've come from the corporate world, and we got to wear shorts, obviously, at the garden center. And I was like, oh, I am so not comfortable in wearing shorts to work. And so I set my intention, because I walk a lot. And so I had set my intention at the beginning of this summer that every step I take, I am confident in wearing shorts. And by the end of the day, I was totally confident in wearing my shorts to work. And I'm still wearing shorts to work because it's still fairly hot here. My sister is a podiatrist, and we talk about it sometimes, and she says it may be because of politics we face with, and then we'll laugh at it, and then let it go. Yeah. And, bringing that laughter in is something. No, you're fine. Absolutely. Hey, the bunga is doing like the 3 a.m. thing, so totally get it. And you're doing dinner? Absolutely. That's one of the things I love about lives, is how many people from all over the world kind of come in and jump in. And yeah, and that's the other thing that we yeah, and that's the other thing that we, do a lot of is we feel like we can't laugh at things, or that everything has to be serious. And when we can bring that laughter in, when we can bring that little bit of joy in, that's, again, something that we can control for ourselves and allow us to lean into that. Because, again, that is something that is typically not allowed. Thank you. And yes, I am sure you're going to probably head to bed now, as it is late there. But thank you for joining. And I do come live every Wednesday, so I'd love to see you back. Okay. But yeah, that's why I try to distance myself from said family, especially with a lot of them. I don't know where I stand right now. The distance is limited since I am still around them currently. Thanks for advices and greetings from Turkey. Absolutely. So happy to have you. Yeah, distancing from family is really hard. It is something that I am currently going through myself. One of the things I have done is I've started to not answer all of their texts. And that has helped. They're definitely pushed back on that, but I have started to do that. Oh, Wednesdays are your day off, so it works perfectly. Yes. No, absolutely. Like, that's one of the things that I really enjoy with these lives, is we can go any direction. Like, I'll kind of have a topic to start with, and then we can go whichever direction we want. Okay, so you can't do it right now, and that's hard. That is really hard. Can you not answer them right away? Can you, even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, where you choose the time that you are answering them, instead of them dictating your time? Is that a possibility? Because you want to find moments where you get to choose, even if it's small. So if that is a possibility, sometimes I will set, absolutely not. No. When we talk about having fun and laughing, it's that joyfulness. When it's hard stuff that you're dealing with, that's not necessarily a laughing moment. Okay, so I literally just had my parents move out in March. So I get the whole living with piece. And that's even harder than to have those breaks. Can you take a couple minute longer shower so you have just that little bit of extra time to yourself? Can you take a walk sometimes to get that little bit of break? And it's my fears, 100%. Yep. Because we're really good at our fears because we run them over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. That's how they take root. So what we want to do is we want to try to find those what if statements that we can start to have something else take root. So, and maybe it is that, what happens if I take that 5-minute longer shower? What happens if I go for a walk once a week or twice every, 2 weeks or 3 weeks? And it's really hard when they live with you. I was doing caregiving when my parents were living with me. So it's really hard. You're really on for pretty much all of it. Being away in my room is my space, but even then sometimes get bombarded. Not the word I was looking for, but hopefully you know what I was trying to say. Absolutely. And setting boundaries, even when you're in your room, a lot of times they'll just walk right through. And you can take a walk. Yes. So whatever your schedule allows, tell yourself, I am choosing to take a walk right now. I am choosing to give myself this little bit of boundary that I can do right now. Like no knocking, nothing, just walking right through like nothing. Yes. Yep. Yeah. It's really hard. It is really hard. So take those walks. And depending on, if you're gonna be in this situation for a while, what other little things can you do for yourself? One of the things that you want to do is you want to kind of, instead of saying like, well, I have to take a shower or I have to go to bed, even if it's just to yourself, say, I choose to go to bed right now. I choose to take a shower. Because what's happening then is you're giving yourself that little tiny bit of feeling of some control in your life. Or I choose to wear the red shirt today instead of the blue shirt. You're giving yourself those little wins, those little moments. It's usually one-sided. I just get annoyed, yes, when I'm having to do so much, but in the moment I ask for one thing and it's all suddenly a burden. Yeah. And it's, and it's hard because and family dynamics of what you grew up with, what was the expectation, what was everything that has been going on for however old you are. It's been playing out in the family dynamics. Right, but even for work, so let's say you wear a uniform for work, you can choose to wear the blue uniform shirt today and make it fun. Make that little tiny bit of fun. And it's not necessarily for you can take your showers and wear what you want usually. It's what you're doing with that is you're taking something really, really small that is kind of insignificant, and you're choosing to be present with it and saying you're choosing to do it instead of I have to wear the uniform today. I have to go get gas. I choose to go get gas. Because you're just helping your mindset switch just a little bit. And again, so don't worry about bringing vibes down. Like I said, we want, like, these Wednesdays are truly kind of where we're going and where people are. And so you're not the only one dealing with this. So, maybe somebody else is now on here and they're, paying attention to what I'm saying. Maybe it's going to be somebody who's going to watch it later. And I'm all about being real and also, when you can, looking at your higher vibration stuff. I dislike the toxic positivity of, oh, everything's fine. We're just doing everything fine. That's not life. And that's certainly not life right now. We have major, major upheaval, major structures, major old beliefs, family dynamics. All of that is bubbling to the surface and changing and pushing against things. And part of that, Saturn takes 30 years to go all the way around the zodiac signs. And we are at the end of a 30-year period. Saturn talks all about our structures, our boundaries, what our foundations are. And we're being asked right now to say, what isn't working in our lives? And what can we do to fix it or change it or let it go? And even if we can't change our big situation now, what can we do on that small kind of mini level to change it a little bit at a time for us? Yeah. Usually I'm the all right, doing all right is my go-to, even when it's not. So even if you can tell yourself what your emotion is that you're really feeling, that's a win. That's a win for you. Even if no one else ever knows it. Because I'm doing all right, I'm fine, that's a lie we also tell ourselves too. Because we've been trained to tell ourselves that lie. So even taking that moment of acknowledging, even if you say it in the moment to somebody else, oh, yep, I'm all right. Think about that moment in your head then. What is my true emotion that I'm feeling? And if you can journal or you are able to, then you could. Especially if somebody's living with you or you're living with somebody, you may not be able to or feel comfortable journaling, but just say it in your head. So you start to hear the difference in what you truly are feeling. It's also because it could genuinely be worse. I'm going to challenge you on that one. Because everything could be worse. Everything could be worse. So you're in this moment now. What is going to make it a little bit better for you now? What is going to make it a little bit better for you now? Or what if you allow it to be a little bit better now? Again, I'm putting that what if in front of it. What if you allow something to brighten your day? Maybe it's a rainbow. Maybe it's a sunset. Maybe it's just a cool tree you see on your way to work. What is that little bit of thing that you are allowing? And you've been writing, and that's what I wanted to do today, but it's a struggle with me. So allow yourself to keep writing, and maybe that's your piece that you're looking forward to, and that's your boundary. You say, I am gonna write in my journal or a story, or however you're expressing yourself with writing. You are a Virgo after all, so you want to communicate, you want to write. So even if you're like, I'm going to write about my day or write about what I actually had that sparked my joy or that smile. I want to do music, but right now it's lyrics. That's still communication. 100% that's communication. So, have that be that piece that you look forward to during the day. And even if, let's say you're like, I can't think of anything to write. You can write la, 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 la. Keep writing la, 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 la. And all of a sudden, something might come through. And you might write a whole... So I am not musically inclined, I will tell you. But you might, write a whole lyric. Or you might write like, I would say it's like a paragraph, but like a chorus or something. And then you might not think of anything else. And so go back to writing la, 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 la. Because you're still writing something down. You're choosing to show up for yourself. Even if it's la, 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 la. It's helped me, but while I have the topic and the story behind it, I want to start this writing. It is a struggle every time for me. Yeah, so start with la, 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 la. Chorus, verse, yeah. It doesn't matter, because it's going to, if you put yourself first and say, I'm gonna spend 30 seconds writing la, 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 that's gonna make you feel better for the day. And then maybe the second day, you're gonna write la, 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 and then, thank you for telling me what I was looking for. And then it's maybe you write a verse. And then you kind of go back to writing la, la, la. And then the next day, you actually hit and write something about the chorus. So you're retraining yourself to say, this is important to me, and I'm choosing to take that little bit of time to write, even if it is just that 30 seconds. Yes, and thank you. You can tell where I am not inclined, and musically is not. So thank you very much for helping me with what I was struggling with for words. But you see how you're starting to just change your perception of it. And you're also getting rid of your perfectionism, saying, well, I've got to get this right on the first go. I've got to get the whole song written. What happens if you don't have to have the whole song written? What if it is just, what if you do days of 30 seconds of writing la, 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 la. You wrote that for you. But yet you're someone I can feel I can still talk to already, even if it's my first time here. Excellent. I'm so glad. That said, though, it is coming up on the hour. So I'm going to start to kind of wrap up. I want to do a card. I want to pull a card for us. Let's see kind of where we are. And then with life, work just takes over. Yep. Because everybody else's priorities come before yours. So again, writing that la, 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 la for 30 seconds or 15 seconds even is taking back that little bit of time for you. And it does take the energy out of you, and especially with living with somebody, 100%. And that's going to also help you get some energy back by just taking that 15 seconds, that 30 seconds. And then if you start to actually get the chorus, get the verse, keep going. I mean, just because I said, start with 15 seconds or 30 seconds, if it's starting to flow, let it flow then. Good, excellent. Right before bed. And again, write your la la las or whatever, something really simple like that you can just keep writing over and over and over again. All right, let's see. We had one card drop out already, but this is from the Wisdom of Trees deck. So let's see what we got. What is coming through? So where is your connection? And I'm going to say, where is your connection to yourself? That is a really big piece. Good. I'm really, really glad I made your night, because you're also royalty. You're divine royalty. Not with what we think of, like all the pomp and ceremony and circumstance of royalty that we see. But divine royalty is about stepping into your enoughness, into your confidence, into your self-worth. That's your divine royalty. These giant redwoods, they don't care what anybody else is doing. They're like, I'm a majestic, beautiful tree. And I'm going to just stand here and show up in the world as I am. That is your divine royalty. And with your connection with yourself. And that is going to be finding those moments that you connect to yourself, like doing the 15 seconds of writing your la la las. You are very, very welcome. I am glad you got to have a good night and taking a break from everything that is stressful and going on in your life. So again, I've got a lot of other videos on here, but I do come live every Wednesday, so definitely come back. The other thing that I always end with, either on lives or on my videos, and when you start doing it to begin with, it's kind of odd, but the more you do it, the better it gets, is give yourself a self-hug. And you want to do both sides, because you have a private side and a public side, and both sides are ready for your support. And you're the only one that can do that for you. You are very, very welcome. And yes, I'm going to end for the night, but you have a great evening, and I will see you either on the next live or in one of the other videos. You can certainly leave comments as well, and I will see you later. Bye for now. Thank you. You too.